Coming up on the Tacoma podcast.
I decided I wanted to work for myself. I was like, I can do this. And then I'd make the move and it was scary as hell. Like now everything is unknown and I don't know what next month will look like. So it was a lot of my own mindset of understanding like, can I do this?
Tacoma, what's good? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Derek Shockman. On the Tacoma podcast, we have dope conversations with the people of the city of Destiny. We have episodes with small biz owners, athletes, creators, performers, politicians, and neighbors. If you're down with Tacoma, tune in and let's get inspired. Let's go. All right, Laina, let's get it popping. If you're looking to do an outdoor cardio workout in Tacoma, would you rather run Chambers Bay or run Stadium Stairs?
Oh, this is so easy. Stadium Stairs any day because I mean, the mental challenge of being at the bottom of those stairs and conquering it is the best feeling. Stadium Stairs all day.
For sure. I think that's my favorite place to do an outdoor workout in Tacoma for those reasons you mentioned. And also just like the nostalgia of, the Stadium High School being like a castle and the Stadium Bowl right on the water. I love Chambers Bay, but I can't run Chambers Bay. I got to walk Chambers Bay.
I walk it too. I prefer walking. It's nicer.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of like cardio, do you like cardio or weights better?
I used to be a cardio freak, loved it. But once I met the weights, it was like, I never turned back. So now I rarely do cardio. Strength training for me is just, there's no other place I'd rather be. So my cardio now is like walking. That's all I do now.
Cool. So guys, I have Laina Chavez with me. Laina, if I butchered that, sorry, you're going to have to repeat it for me. She's a health and fitness coach here in Tacoma, Washington. You want to let the people know a little bit about you, Laina?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here. So honored. My name's Laina Chavez. Got it right. I am born and raised Tacoma. Lived here most of my life. I did have a couple years of travel, international, overseas type things, but came back. Never thought in a million years I would buy a home 6 blocks from where I grew up. Yep. I am a wife. I'm a stepmom of 3. I am a dog mom. I am huge into family. I'm half Samoan, half Polish, and just a huge, traveler. I love life, living life to the fullest, good vibes only energy, and obviously super passionate about health and fitness.
Definitely. As I can see on your Instagram. So we went to the same high school, actually, Curtis.
Yeah.
Were you 04?
I was 04.
Okay, I was 03. I remember you and Jackie Thomas being the Hoopers, though.
Yes. Jackie and I, man, we go way back. And we were lucky enough to play in college together, which was such a cool experience to have someone in college who already had over 4+ years of just playing on the same court. Like I could catch her passes and I know exactly where she'd throw it. And it just was magic. It was the best feeling. So super, super cool to be able to play 4 years in college too with her.
That's crazy. I didn't know that actually. I didn't pay attention to that. That's awesome. That's like very unique. I'm sure it doesn't happen that often.
No, definitely not at all. So I feel really blessed and she's amazing. And she's, she came back to go coach our Curtis team, which was amazing. And she's doing big things back at Curtis, giving back.
For sure. So you guys went to the Seattle University.
Yep.
How was that like being a college athlete?
Oh man, a whole nother level from high school, that's for sure. It literally seems like a blur, to be honest. It was just such a, not only are you becoming into like adulthood, right? Like you're on your own for the first time, but just coming into with an immediate family, like a team, was a cool experience to go to unlock the next level of an athlete at the college level, learning so much about your what you thought were your strengths for now your weaknesses, learning about just how to handle pressure, how to lose, how to get outside your comfort zone, how to win, how to have fun, how to have balance. There was so much about being an athlete that I, more than ever, was a mindset, just a strengthening in my mindset of who I am. And that was one of the biggest takeaways. But we had a lot of fun, and I love the travel. I mean, travel for me is like, I'm a Sagittarius, so travel for me is like so much fun. But yeah, it was such a great experience. I literally, nothing like it compares to the competition that you played when you were in college, when I played. So
yeah, for sure. I didn't play college sports, but I know when I played basketball, though, I could only play for like 8 minutes at a time. So I don't know how the hell you would do that, like in college at that level for like, 30, 40 minutes a game. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, we would play. I mean, it's literally like 2-3 a days, 5 a.m. hill sprints. Like, you trained beyond trained to be able to last like a whole game. But yeah, it was. Now just thinking about it, I'm like, no way, I'm not going to do that again. But at the time there was a purpose, right? And so life after sport, it's life after the game, the way you work out, there was definitely a transition period about how I thought I should train. But yeah, college definitely pushed the limits on what your body is able to do, for sure.
For sure. So after college, did you jump right into being a health and fitness coach?
No, actually, I was on the path to becoming an athletic director.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do that myself. I went to get a master's degree in sports administration because that's what I thought I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because I loved athletics. I lived in the gym. I lived in that world, and I thought that I didn't want to leave it. And I was like, well, I'll be an athletic director. And so after I got my bachelor's, I stayed at Seattle U and got my master's in sports business, and was on that track. I came back to Tacoma and I got a job at Pierce College, so smaller community college, and I was assistant AD there. Learned a ton about what it was like working directly with the AD, and as I got into it more and more, as I got closer in line to become the AD, there's something that I wasn't excited about taking my boss, which he's awesome. He was like telling me, okay, you're next in line, or opportunities were starting to come. And I wasn't like excited about it, which was weird to me. And so I had to start to really pay attention to, what's going on.
Got it. Yeah, definitely. So like when you were starting to pay attention and kind of evaluating or reflecting on things, what made you jump into health and fitness? Like, what was your why?
Yeah, I think the transition for me was when I realized that AD wasn't for me. Athletic director wasn't. Well, what was it? And I started to diving into my passions on what I did love. And throughout my working career, health and fitness had always been something I've been very passionate about. I had always taught fitness classes on the side. It was fun. Like the best part of my day, actually, like I would teach fitness classes on my breaks. When I worked at the YMCA before I got into the athletics world, I was always teaching classes. And so I started to ask myself, well, how can I start doing that for fun? Like my fun thing full time, like, why can't I do this? Or how can I create the life that I want by truly doing this? And so my big why of getting into the health and fitness journey was, based off of my upbringing and going through my own health and fitness journey. Growing up, I was very overweight, and I struggled a lot with that. And basketball was something that turned that around for me. And then in college, I actually went the other opposite direction, where I was an overtrainer and I trained way too much, and I was eating way under, which is a common thing a lot of female athletes do. And then I was very underweight. So, understanding to have a healthy relationship with food took time. And so that was something I wanted to help others when it comes to their journey, and saying, hey, there is a healthy way to exercise and eat, and, just giving ourselves some grace and making this a lifestyle, a lifestyle. That's really what it is,
That's awesome. So going from like, I'm going to call it a steady job, going into your own small business, essentially, what were some of those challenges or like, some of those fears when you started up?
Oh my gosh, so many fears. God, I had so much structure in my life as long as I could remember. I had a coach telling me what to do. I worked for a boss. It was very I could control, I knew what was coming. And then now I decided I wanted to work for myself. I was like, I can do this. And then I'd make the move, and it was scary as hell. Now everything is unknown, and I don't know what next month will look like. Yeah. So it was a lot of my own mindset of understanding, like, can I do this? There's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that had to come up. So much growth in my mindset of me holding my own self back, and really just focusing on the purpose. When I started to focus on purpose and not myself, things started happening for me, focusing on who I meant to serve, who I meant to call up, and not worrying about all the hows and how's it going to work in every little detail, and getting stuck and slowing down. Is just taking imperfect action and just continuing to show up, and it was all going to work out. That's all I kept saying, just continue to show up. And it's still a work in progress. That's still one of the things that I'm continuously learning as a newer business owner is the mindset of, when you get to the next level, like, there's a whole nother set of challenges that come your way, and that's normal. The highs and the lows is completely normal, and I had to normalize that. Like, I got on the emotional, like, driver of the business owner, and that's the wrong way to do it. Like, do not drive emotionally. Like, you should probably put that on your somewhere in your car that says do not drive emotionally, right? Like, do not do that. You have to really be in a good state and just focus on your purpose. And so, that was a total, still, I'm working through that, but I wouldn't want it any other way, because there's no limit to what you can do when it's on you. It's up to you.
Definitely. It's funny you mentioned that, because the other day we had a Windermere kickoff, which is the real estate company I work for. We had, I can't remember his name, Trevor Mohead or something. I forget, but he's Russell Wilson's coach in regards to his mindset. And he has a book. It's called It Takes What It Takes. And it's actually right here next to me. I haven't read it yet, but I just bought it. But it's about staying neutral. And I think that's super important when starting a small business or your own company, to stay neutral, because you are going to have those ups and downs, like you said. And the only way to get through it is to kind of like be in the middle and like know that, okay, shit's going to hit the fan, but also things are going to be really good sometimes too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I went through the honeymoon phase. I think I came off the honeymoon phase and I was like, oh shoot, like, this is normal, right? I had to normalize that and say, okay, it's not going to be all, you get that tunnel vision and everything's perfect about your partner and, all of those things. And then you get past that and it's like, okay, well, this is okay. We're going to work through this, So it's kind of how I view it.
Definitely. What do you think has been one of your biggest accomplishments since starting up?
Well, one, making the decision and doing it, because let me tell you, it was percolating in my mind for a long time of wanting to do this, but then it's funny, like, deciding is one thing in your mind, but then doing it, right? So deciding and taking action on that was a huge accomplishment. But then once I got into it, the accomplishments is every single time I get a client and they're just seeing their transformation. It was really being able to see from them where they've started into where they are at this point in their life in a short amount of time, and just seeing their lifestyle habits change, they're happier in life. And that fulfills me so much. Like, that's a big accomplishment every single time, is just seeing the transformation, not only physically, but from a mental standpoint, and just seeing how their take on life is, how they're more positive, how they're more confident, how they show up in the world, knowing their worth, standing up for themselves. Like, it just empowers me so much. And so every single one of those is a big accomplishment.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a rewarding business. I can see it in your posts, but also just anybody's transformational posts. It's always cool to see and to hear a story. My wife, Leanne, actually, and she's probably going to be pissed off that I'm talking about this, but she actually decided, 2 years ago to lose a ton of weight, and she lost, I think it's 90 pounds. It's crazy. It's nuts. And her mental state is so much better. And it's just cool to see that, from somebody that's really close to you.
Yeah, I love that. Those stories that just empower others to show what's possible and saying, hey, we're not alone. We've all gone through these times, and we can make a decision to change at any point in time. You're never too young. You're never too old. You can decide at any point, and you can, and we can live through others by seeing what's possible. And I think those stories are super powerful. So
for sure. If you don't mind me asking, did COVID impact your business? And if it did, how did you adjust?
Yeah, well, it did. Initially, it affected some of my current clients. So I knew that, we may needed to adjust, because not only, did it affect some of their jobs, right? We had to double down. I had to pour in more into them and provide more support, work out ways where we can make it both work, not stopping coaching because I wanted to do the right thing for them, and so we had to adapt and then adjust. But for new people coming in, for new clients, I actually found that COVID didn't affect me as much. I found that people really, wanted to continue, like their gym shutting down, right? So a lot of people were thrown off by that. And so the online space was actually good. I was really feeling blessed to be in the online space, because we can still work on our health and fitness. And more importantly, with COVID, health is super important. You got to take care of yourself, right? And so, like I said, I feel pretty blessed. It didn't really impact me in the way that it affected so many of my close friends who have small businesses and things like that.
For sure. Gym shutting down definitely impacted myself. I know I was like, what the hell am I going to do? But this year taught me, I really enjoyed resistance training and like body weight training and the TRX. And speaking of like the different types of training, what do you specialize in?
Yeah, I would say that I don't have like a particular specialization. I meet my clients where they're at. I love, of course, strength training. That is something I want to work them up to, but every client is different, and I really can't put anyone into, a checkbox, and we really have to, depending on how they've trained, or if they haven't trained over the last year, really kind of get them to that next level with where they're ready for. But ultimately, if they're with me, you're going to start incorporating weights sooner or later. We're going to get you there. But if it's me starting with body weight, that's where we're going to be. And then we'll slowly progress to, what do we have if we're home, right? We'll have some resistance bands. We'll have, some dumbbells, and, we'll do with what we can when we adapt, and so, but I'm all about the resistance training. That's really where I find that most of my clients they love it too. And you get the best results with strength training. You just do. It's over cardio any day. Your body can adapt so quickly to cardio. That's why strength training is very important.
I was going to actually ask you, can you get into like why strength training is important to, because like a lot of people will say, okay, I want to lose some weight, so I'm just going to run, or I'm just going to do cardio. Why is strength training so important to, like, if you wanted to even lose weight?
Yeah, I think people get confused with what they really want. I think, yes, people want to lose weight, but there's a difference between weight loss and fat loss. There's a complete difference. I think what most people really want is fat loss versus weight loss, because weight comprises of so many things, right? It's your body, your water, muscle, and fat is part of that too. But people really want to see fat loss. Whenever I get my clients come in, they tell me they want to be this weight. But then I said, but if you weighed this much, would you care how much you weighed if you were down 4 sizes and you saw your waist go down and your body is transformed, but you weigh the same? They're like, well, yeah, I don't actually care about how much I weigh at that point, right? So yes, you can lose weight doing cardio. Yes, you can lose weight doing strength training, but really getting clear on what is it that you're looking for. That's where we dive deeper and get clearer with my clients around, well, what is it do you really want? And most of the time that's like, yeah, let's go for the inches loss. Let's go for the fat loss, because we want to preserve as much muscle. We want to build muscle and burn fat at the same time. And that's the benefit of strength training, is sometimes you do too much cardio, you will start to lose your muscle. You will start to burn through that. I remember I was in a cardio phase and I had no shape to me. I was healthy, but I didn't have any muscle. I was just, and I enjoyed running. And I'm not saying anything there's negative about running. Like, it's a great thing for people, but strength training is really what shapes your body. It builds muscle. It allows you to eat more because you have a higher metabolism. And so that's why I'm such a big component of strength training. And you feel stronger. You just feel stronger in what you're capable of doing. So.
For sure. What do you tell somebody, speaking of all this, like, because I personally, the scale has always been something that I do every day, and like I get irritated, right? Because your weight fluctuates. I mean, you could drink too much water, you could have a lot of sodium, it could be anything. What do you tell somebody, or what do you recommend if somebody's like super worried about the scale only? Is there anything else to track progress?
That's a great question. That's such a common thing. I actually just got a call out of a coaching call yesterday with a client. And I could tell she was like a little nervous and not like like her energy was a little like, oh God, I'm going to be judged. And I always ask, well, what are your wins? Like, share with me what you're proud of, what's been going well, what are some wins? And, she was listing off her wins. And then at the end, she's like, but the scale hasn't budged. And I'm really like frustrated, right? And so that's a perfect example of, the conversations I had with her was saying, okay, the scale is one form of progress. And it's amazing how much power and how much we define success to that number tied to it. Mm-hmm. If that number doesn't go down, then we failed. If that number doesn't budge down at all, we're failing. And that's just completely wrong. And so, because that's the way this industry of the world of health and fitness, we have become to see that number as the success. That's all you see is people talk about how much weight they lost. And these are successful because they dropped this much weight, right? And so when we value the weight more than the other areas, which are, when we track inside in my program is, yes, the scale, but we do body measurements, right? We see, the waist, the hips, where we're seeing inches lost, that's fat loss. That's a good sign. We notice and how we're feeling in our clothes, are those pants feeling a little looser? I'm able to fit into those better. We take photos, and we every time we jump on a call, we see the photos side by side. You're like, it looks like you lost weight there. Your body is changing. Like, it doesn't matter about the scale. Like, now it's like, wow, like we give too much sometimes to the scale. We have to focus on the non-scale victories, because that is where success is. That is where we focus on all areas of progress, and not just saying that's the only form. So it's a reframe. It's a mindset reframe. We have to detach ourselves from the scale. I was there too. Like, I literally thought, when the scale wasn't moving my way, like, I start questioning, I start doubting, I start thinking everything I'm doing is wrong, when in fact, all these other indicators right here are telling you you're doing great, keep going. But that's when most people fail, and they stop because the scale didn't move. So what's the point? I'm going to stop. Right. So it's a mindset shift for sure.
Definitely. How do you feel about, and you might have touched on this briefly, what do you feel about body fat percentage and like tracking that?
Yeah, I think body fat percentage, you can do it through measurements. Okay. That's kind of how I've done it. You can do those, places that you can go to that track your body fat percentage, and seeing, those cost a little bit more. I don't require my clients to do that. Again, when we see inches lost, that's body fat being lost for them. And so, they don't get so hung up on that number. We're focusing on body composition. And sometimes we're such complex humans, humans are so complex which is amazing, but also at the same time, we get so caught up in like the littlest things that it's like, no, let's focus on the basics. All right, let's continue to just focus on these areas of progress. And then as you progress and as you get further along your health and fitness journey, that's when you can start bringing in some more advanced type things. If you are looking to, it depends on the goal, what you're looking for.
For sure. Now, some of the biggest changes I've seen, like especially after 30, I've been like into fitness my whole life, but when I started paying attention to what I eat in my nutrition is when I saw like probably the most gains, or at least the best gains in regards to just my mental, the way I feel, and the weight going down as well. How important is nutrition do you think?
Oh my gosh, it's so important. You can't out-train a bad diet, right? Like,
Yeah.
You've heard that before. Nutrition is truly you exercise, you show up for that hour and you're done. Food is all day, right? It's something you're constantly putting in your body. It's that energy in. And, the right types of foods for your body consistently is what really will get you towards your goals. And so nutrition plays a more important role than the exercise itself. It really does.
That was definitely a leading question, but I wanted it to come from you, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people need to hear that, because it is, to me, it's like the 80-20 rule almost, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It is. And we think that, we can eat what we want after we have a good workout, right? And it just depends on your goals. And sometimes, it's all about, honestly, if you're going to gain weight, if you consume more calories than you burn. I mean, just the plain basics of it. And we don't know that until we start to be mindful of what we're eating, and so that's really what it comes down to in all levels is energy in comes in. Too much food is calories is energy. It comes into our body, and if we're not expending that energy out and more than what we eat, it's gonna either go this way or this way, just up or down, depending on what your goals are. So yeah,
totally. Something that I've gotten pretty into of recent, probably the last 18 months, is intermittent fasting. And I'm curious to hear your position on this. Do you like intermittent fasting? And maybe for those that don't know what it is, maybe explain what it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, intermittent fasting, I had experimented a little bit with it. Just a general overview of what it is. It's basically like a cycle of, you're eating, you have like an eating window for a certain period of time. And then after that window, you're in your fasting state where you're not eating anything. And there's different strategies within that. The most common one is the 16-8 rule, where you have an 8-hour window of eating. So let's say I start eating at noon and then I stop at 8 and then I fast for 16 hours and then I do it again, right? That's kind of a basic kind of what it's like, a cycle pattern of eating and not eating. So my take on it is it depends on what your goal is, right? If you're looking at it as weight loss, let's say I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do intermittent fasting, right? So you can lose weight on intermittent fasting. And it just depends on what you're eating still, no matter what in the day, whatever you're eating in that window, if you're still eating more than what you're burning, you're gonna gain weight, right? But there's no magic thing that you could eat whatever you want in this 8-hour period, okay? Like a lot of people think that's what it is. Like,
I thought that in the beginning, to be honest.
Which is okay, because the magic of the health benefits, there's a health benefit side to it with the fasting itself, right? There are some health benefits to that. So you're, by not eating for a long period of time, your body, your digestive system is resting, you're repairing from a cellular level, your liver is repairing. Like, there's a lot of health benefits from the fasting that can aid in fat loss. But at the end of the day, the most basic foundational thing is what you eat in that window still matters. But it can be a great window for people to eat less because of their window of eating. It can result in consuming less calories in your window. But yeah, I did the whole 16-8, and I actually got some great results with it too, just because it changed up my world a bit. And if you typically are a non-breakfast eater, then it could be a really easy fit for you to do. I don't really recommend it first thing at all with my clients. This is more of like advanced later things, because we got to get the basics down first before we graduate. It's like the cart before the horse. Like, let's start at the basic level of just understanding what our body needs. And then, as you become more into health and fitness and you want to learn more things out there, then I think that's something we can start to bring into play.
Totally. You made a great point. And the reason why I do it is, and I usually do a 16-8. Sometimes I'll push it to like 17 or something like that. But the reason is can't eat as much as I would eat if I was eating like over a 12-hour period, for example. That's why I do it, because I just consume less food.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people enjoy having bigger meals too. There's benefits of that as well. Having like 2 big meals in a day versus small meals from all day, right? That huge window. So, and there's even a thermogenic effect by eating more food at one time. You are burning, because it takes a lot of energy to digest all that food you're eating at once. But yeah, like I said, what you can do for the long term, that's really what's important. Like if you can see yourself doing this forever, great, then stick to it, and that can mean for some people, and some people are like, no way, I would only do this for 30 days. Then you probably don't even want to do it from the beginning, right?
Yeah. Totally. So, fitness is a journey, obviously. And I think that a lot of people, they struggle with maybe giving up on that journey and getting stuck potentially. What do you recommend for people that kind of are feeling that? Because, we know it's January right now still, right? Yep. And like the New Year's resolutions and whatnot, they come and they go. How do people stick to something?
Oh, man, this is like the common question I think everyone struggle with is sticking with it, right? And in the way that I would recommend anyone saying how to stick to it is it's got to be sustainable. You can't go from 0 to 100, and expect you have to understand what a lot of people say. I just want to be consistent, and I need the consistency, but defining, well, what is consistency to you? Is it you working out 7 days a week for 3 hours a day and eating 100% clean? A lot of these ideas of being on the health and fitness journey isn't realistic. And you have to come from the mindset of, we have to shift the identity of what this means. This has to become who we are as an identity, as a part of us, and not just a goal to lose weight and hit your weight loss goal as a quick fix or something, and that's unfortunately what we're fed all day long, with these quick fixes and all of these things out there that says, hey, I was listening to something last night on the radio. It was like a 30-10, lose 20 pounds in 1 month. And I'm like, what? Like, and it's like, sure, you can, that's the problem. Like a lot of people can become successful on their health and fitness journey. They can lose weight, but the biggest part is, 97%, they gain it all back. Only 3% of people keep the weight off, and it's sticking with it long enough so that it becomes a habit, so that it becomes a lifestyle. The journey doesn't end once you hit your goal. It's just beginning. It's saying, hey, this is what we do for life. I don't ever just hit my weight goal and then stop, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's something that is truly a lifestyle. So finding something that you can minimally do, like I always give my clients, like, what can be your energetic your minimum that considers you winning? So if it's your minimum is like, no matter what, every week I'm going to move my body 3 days a week minimum. If I do more than that, great. That's a bonus. But I have my minimums that keeps me moving forward, right? Because sometimes we don't hit that 5 days a week, and then the mindset starts coming in, well, I failed. Well, I didn't get that 5 days a week. Oh, this is too hard. I can't sustain this. We beat ourselves up when we fail and we derail ourselves. But we have to understand, just like we talked about businesses, the highs and the lows, we have to know with health and fitness, there's going to be highs and lows too. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the journey, and we're not a mistake. We're not a failure through our mistakes. We just have to pick ourselves back up.
Hell yeah.
Okay? It's all good. But the ones that dwell on their past, the ones that continue to dwell on what they didn't do, stay stuck way longer and end up giving up.
Yeah, for sure. As you talk, I hear a lot of mindset from you, which is awesome, because I'm in that same boat. I love personal development and mindset. As we wrap things up here a little bit, can you talk about maybe some of your services and what you provide to clients? Because obviously there's a lot going on here with the health, the nutrition, and I can see some mindset. So maybe go over some of those services you provide.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing when it comes to my program is you think you're coming in because you have these health and fitness goals, which is yes, that's always true. But the biggest piece that truly leads to success is shifting our mindset. Mindset is like 99% of the journey. 100%, like it's 99% of the journey.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You can have, a great workout plan. You can have a great nutrition plan with it. But if you're not in the right mindset, you're not going to be successful at it. And so we dive deep into understanding ourselves. So it's really about understanding what are those limiting beliefs about how we view the journey. What is our relationship? What are the thoughts that are coming up when it's time to work out, right?
Yeah.
And I normalize that. I normalize them saying, hey, those thoughts of I'm tired, I don't feel like it, I'm not motivated. Of course, those things come up, right? We talk about, and we're going through. It's like we're taking all those thoughts and we're bringing them to the table, and we're normalizing it, and we're saying it's okay to think that. You're not the only one. And when they know what to expect, it's almost like, oh, well, she said that this was going to happen, so I have the power to choose what thought to believe. Do I choose the old me that's continually been winning, which is really strong at this point? Or do I get outside my comfort zone and start showing up as who I'm becoming, right? Showing up as who I want to be. And then those are wins. Every time we celebrate those. So with the mindset, with a community, we're that a team environment, right? Like having that team environment where you're not in this alone, others are going through the exact same thing, and having that accountability alongside with the fitness nutrition, that's where the transformation happens. Because if we don't have someone to from the outside saying, hey, you're thinking this, and not them getting in their own head and getting in their own way, that's a lot of the times where we can screw up on ourselves in the journey and give up, is because no one's there guiding you along the way to say, hey, this is normal. It's okay. We're going to get through this. And this is what we need to think instead. All right. And they're like, oh, okay. And then we celebrate that, right? There's no judgment. Like, we cannot judge ourselves on this journey. And there's so much judgment that goes on in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I love about this so much is I'm a big into mindset. Like we do a lot of mindset work.
That's awesome. And I can see it for sure. It's funny you say that too, because this morning I woke up and I was like, man, I'm tired. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. And I knew I was like, it's not going to be a great one, right? But I went. It was okay. And I'll tell you what, I felt a lot better afterwards. And I wasn't mad that I went, and you're never mad when you go after you go.
Exactly. And I think we have this expectation that we're supposed to be motivated all the time. Yeah. And we're supposed to, and yes, some days we're feeling it. We're like, let's go. But then some days we're not. And that's okay too. And not that every workout is going to be, that all the time. But you're in the discipline of showing up, and your why. Well, why is this important to me, right? What are the benefits that this gives me, right? By going and showing up for myself, right? Number one, showing up for myself. I'm worth putting myself first today, right? And so that's awesome when I see the transformation and that starts to shift, So I expect a lot of challenges. We expect a lot of hiccups along the way, but like I said, to be in that community and that type of a support system, that's when the growth starts happening.
Definitely. So last question for you. What are you most excited about moving forward with your business?
Oh my gosh, there's so much to look forward to. I feel like I'm really just scratching the surface. Really being only in it fully for almost 2 years, so a year and a half now. I've made this shift recently in my business. I've pivoted, and you're going to see more of it. I'm working now specifically with former athletes who are moms. So I created the Mom Lead Academy. It's fairly new, and it just speaks to me, like a former athlete, mom, and just helping these women, specifically life after the game, and utilizing their strengths as an athlete, and remembering how amazing they were in their life as an athlete, and bringing that into the real world, and creating a new identity in a way towards health and fitness. And so, that's what I'm really excited about. That's going to be rebranding and relaunching, and I'm I'm able to niche down so much more and just have that soulmate type client that just lights me up. And so that's what I'm really excited about.
That's dope. That's awesome, Laina. That's everything I got. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I just am so thankful, and I love what you're doing. So I think this is great to just highlight our local, Tacoma family. And I'm really grateful to be here. So thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Where can people find you, though, before we get going?
Yeah, they can find me on social media platforms. So Facebook and Instagram, Laina Chavez. And in Instagram, it's just Laina_Chavez. So if anyone has any questions about journey and are interested in any support, reach out.
Cool. I'll link those in the show notes for sure. All right, Laina, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Derek.
All right, peace.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining and taking the time to listen to the Tacoma podcast. If you were down with this episode, I'd be super pumped if you subscribe. Also, if inclined, please drop a review and share the pod with a friend. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks again. Peace.